Hey guys, this is Alex Williamson here with The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium. I am on some really pristine, beautiful Florida water. You can see I'm sweating like a pig, but it is a beautiful day. We had thunder showers this morning, and I'm going to show you some really cool fish. And there's a lot of native fish, but there's also some invasive. Right now, we are in a system of over 50 springs. I can't name them all, basically. Um, but we're not that far from the city, so it's kind of cool. Ocala is only half hour from the main interstate, and then they kind of built the interstate so you could come out and enjoy this. There's not much hiking other than on the path because the swamp is pretty hardcore as far as being muddy and full of alligators. Plus, one of the springs out here, they filmed movies in the 20s and 30s, silent movies, and then into the beginning of sound movies. And those apparently there are mean rhesus monkeys that were let go after the filming of the original Tarzan movie. So I hope to see some of these mean monkeys, but hope they don't bite me. With everybody knows that my luck not always the best. But I can't begin to tell you how beautiful this water is. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what I'm seeing, and maybe talk about some of the species I know offhand. Some of them are hard to tell. Some of them you won't be able to see the color that I'm seeing just because of the water's reflection. But it is alligator mating season, and it's also mayfly season. So hopefully the alligators will be busy on the shores. I know the turtles are. I'll get them in the picture soon. And then hopefully the alligators will stay on the shore, and the fish will be coming up to eat the mayflies, which are all over anywhere along the shore also. So let's jump in. All right, guys, so this spring here is it's where three little rivers connect. So there's one here, there's one here, and there's one here. Now Florida, it's kind of everything connects to everywhere. I'm on an old it's an old boardwalk. It's a piling that was built so that you could walk out here through. I'll show you the shore. I guess that's about as high as it gets right there, and then there's just water holes in between. But it's got a nice little roof on this part, and the fish are all swimming up here. We've got everything from here we've got, looks like some sunfish, some smallmouth bass. We've got gambusii, which are a form of mosquito control here. They raise this fish called the mosquito fish. There's the western and the eastern varieties, and they raise those, and they're little teeny like guppy sized fish that will then help eat the flies and bugs, so they're not in quite the abundance that that they could be. The other thing is that when you upset the natural order of the amount of fish and things, you really upset that the amount of bugs that get eaten. Same with bats or frogs or lizards. And right here, look at the size of some of these fish. You've got, all in this shot, you've got let's see, I see some sunfish, I see some pickerel, and I also see a lot of Oscars in this water, which is interesting. So somebody must have released those back in the day. I've heard everything from stories of piranhas in the water to, well, just about everything. So let's get off this little boardwalk area, and I'll show you some more areas of this just beautiful water. So this is a level 1 or tier 1 site of the amount of water coming out of the ground. And this is an area where there is so much water coming out of the ground. It's 500 million gallons every 24 hours. So that is a lot coming out of these springs. And oh, by the way, here are some carp. These are blue carp. Also, I saw some, believe it or not, not pacus, but They looked like that. You'll hopefully I'll have some film of it. But basically, I saw some. Look at the blue on those. I know they're just carp, but they're really beautiful from above when you look at the blue reflecting off their iridescent scales. Now, just like guppies, that iridescence is caused by onodontodes. No, sorry, not onodontodes. That's a silly thing to say. I'm thinking of plecos. I've got plecos on the brain because there's plecos in here. Onodontodes are their whiskers. I'm so sorry, guys. It's caused by iridophores. So the iridescence in these beautiful carp, they're just simple carp. That iridescence is caused by iridophores, which reflect silver and light. You can find those in guppies, you can find them in herring and all sorts of different animals that, well, all sorts of different fish, I should say, that have that iridescent look to them. So I want to show you guys something over here. There's a lot of algae in this water, and apparently years ago there was not. So that algae that you can see growing on this eelgrass, there's also valsinaria, there's cryptocorn, however you want to say it, as well as a lot of hydrocotyle. I see just tons of different hydrocotyle species, including verticillata, triparta, pennywort, all sorts of things like that. But the eelgrass and the longer grass, there's also cypress hellfry, different things that have been in, kind of invasively introduced, and some that are indigenous. And honestly, it's not completely clear where one starts and the other ends. Kabamba, for instance, Kabamba carolinius is a plant that is supposed to be native to this area, in theory, of northern Florida. However, Kabamba furcata or some of the other Kabamba plants in the water may be invasive from as far away as South America. So they're struggling with that in this water, and they've got 715 invasive species in this waterway, unfortunately, but it's still really beautiful, and they've done a lot of work to restoring kind of the natural hierarchy. And if they can't get rid of all of the troublemakers, they can at least get rid of the apex predator type fish that are out there by having sportsmen going for them. So I love the look of some of these trees that have just kind of grown into the water again. These palms and things are really beautiful, and the birds are awesome down here. I know we're talking about aquarium stuff, but I also wanted to mention a few more things about this park. In theory, there could be black bear, jaguar, monkeys, which is weird, and Florida panther is what it would be known as. Panther, puma, jaguar. There's been a bunch of different conversations about what all used to be here. Maybe even the ocelot at one point. They simply don't have a good solid record of it. Things rot here, and it could be that some of these things came in rarely, but were at least known to the natives. So, and when it gets dark in this jungle, it gets really dark. I'm just kind of waiting for a big fish to surface. You'll see one jump up and really surface every once in a while. Here you can see the roof, the eave of the building we're in, or under the part of, and I wish you guys could see everything I'm seeing. There's a turtle that just surfaced over there. I guess he found a meal. But yeah, so as I wanted to point out, there's some Kabamba right here. So guys, there is some Kabamba right here. It's got a lot of algae on it, but this is Kabamba carolinius, and where it's growing is not far from the shore. We are just off a boardwalk, just off a little viewing post. You can see it's like a dock corner that I'm standing on, and there's Kabamba in the water, Kabamba carolinius. There's hornwort. There is valsinaria, eelgrass, cypress hellfry, valsinaria, and a few other interesting plants that I see. A lot of hydrocaudal, verticillata, other forms of pennywort as well. There has to be 15 types of pennywort here. It's just kind of remarkable how many there are. But this is all cooler water than most of Florida. It's cleaner water than most of Florida. And you can see everything from abandoned pets like Oscars and things like that, which have actually been here since the 40s at least. So a lot of the South American cichlids do really well here. The things like a green terror or, you know, a red terror, they do fine here, which is, I mean, good for those fish, but not so hot for the rest of the ecosystem. But here you can see also they've got everything from striped bass and baffles, pickerels. Over here we get mullets sometimes as you get closer to the mouth of the next river, which is not fed like this one is. But check this out. This is a Florida carp, and it's just a beautiful blue color. I mistook them almost for the species pruna shark or pruna shark from Malaysia. They are so big in this water, some of them, because it's protected, no fishing, no swimming. It really has made a huge difference. Now, what I want to talk about, I mean, look at this inspiration for a riparium, vivarium, that kind of thing. But what I really want to talk about is this algae we see here. As I said, this algae was not always here. There's always been a little bit, but usually kind of the slower blackbeard algae, things like that, you'll see. However, now you're seeing a lot more of the algae that is from actually farms, nitrates and phosphates from farms. And so far it's diluted enough that it hasn't hurt the fish, but it's enough that between that and just the boats that have come into this water system the last 100 years, taken out of one water system and put into the next, you definitely can get contamination. And that is what has happened, is there's been contamination of different algae species, different, you know, milfoil and things like that, Eurasian red milfoil and so forth. They've kept it really clean of that. And right now, what's cool about this spot is the mayflies are breeding, and you can see how crazy they're going. But the fish that are swooping those up, I don't know if I can get them on film for you. There's such a biodiversity of fish here. I've never seen anything like it, simply for the fact that I think everywhere else you're allowed to fish around here, and so you just don't quite see this level of every kind of fish. I've seen plecos. Let's try to zoom in here. There are killifish in this water. There's bluefin, there's least, there are some other interesting like shad and chubs, and there's a red tail one that is in the water that I'll have to look up when I get back. But I just wanted to stop and show you guys this incredibly beautiful spot. I'm all alone, and you can just hear the birds. Every once in a while you hear a truck, which is annoying. But check this out. Those bubbles, that is sulfurous gas, as well as nitrogen gas. You know, there's CO2, just methane, the things that break down in a river with such life, especially now that it has such plant life and algae in it as well. And you'll see these big bubbles come up, and they're just really kind of beautiful to watch surface. But for those of you who worry that your aquarium is putting up a little pocket of bubbles, as long as you keep up on your water change, I'm sure if you've been to, you know, streams and lakes, you've seen this bubbling before. It's okay. You'll be okay. So we're gonna move on. I'm gonna hike a couple more miles, and I'll catch up with you guys again.